Well, Nebraska has landed their offensive tackle in this class, and it is a big one, not only in stature, but big as in one of my favorite guys that I watched on film in terms of the offensive line position. Of course, I was in love with Roger Scholl's film, and Brian Tapu was right there with him. So, a lot of the same traits, a lot of very similar things in their play style, and just a lot of things I love by the way he plays and some of the techniques he uses. So, I'll get into that in just a moment. First things first, my name is Justin Adams. I'm a content creator here at Nebraska Football at the Voice of College Football. If you like what I'm doing here, please consider liking and subscribing. I appreciate everybody who supports, truly. Leave your comments. Let me know what you think. And all the support, man. I appreciate each and every single one of you that drops in your support. So thank you. I couldn't thank you all enough. But let's go ahead and jump into it. So, after he was kind of favored to come to Nebraska, took a visit over to Oregon State and committed on his visit to Oregon State. Now, when hearing from him on what happened there, he spoke about it just being kind of a rash decision that he made. And it's very easy to get caught up in the moment, especially, his uncle is coaching over there. So it's very easy to get caught up in the moment, in the pomp and circumstance when you're on a visit and ride that excitement and then, commit. And I think we chastise players a little too much for when they do this. And more often than not, people are talking about money, money, money. And NIL, everybody blames it on money. But, with some of these young men, it's about the fit for them and making the best decision for their future. It's no different than one of us selecting a college and getting an offer from a different or better college that gives us a better opportunity and going to that. He just happens to be an athlete and it's widely publicized and et cetera, et cetera. So he's just looking out for the best interest of himself, and his family's looking out for the best interest of him. And he seems very family oriented, and also seems like one of the things that led him to ultimately commit to Nebraska is kind of the family vibe that we talked about before. So, he talked about, Donovan Raiola, keeping in contact with him, and talked about meeting Matt Rule is something that he won't forget because, he called him and his family in for a private conversation. And, Matt Rule has shown this throughout the recruiting process that he has the ability to connect with players, not only players, but their family, and actually connect in a genuine, authentic way because he actually cares about bringing the family into the university and being part of the university as well, so they can be part of, their son's growth. They can be a part of that and involved in that. And so you really like to see that being a big thing that brought him into the program, because that is a genuine thing that will keep, players at a university if they feel like their best interest is being taken care of. So big thing there just to touch on. It was not money. We got to stop just jumping to conclusions and assuming it's money on that, because, these kids read this stuff and it's, like I said, if you watch the interview, you see he's a super down to earth kid. So now getting into Brian as a player. So going over his, measurables, 6'7", 295. So he is a tall, rangy offensive lineman. Now, one of the things about taller offensive linemen is sometimes it's harder for them to kind of keep the low ground. The low man wins typically. But he has good posture, good balance, and a good pad level out of his break when need be. He knows when to rise up into a block, and he knows when he can stand more upright. And so he's a good understanding of leverage at 6'7". So, the first thing that I kind of wanted to touch on in terms of, his abilities as a player, I like his initial first punch. Like, I like his punch off the line when he attacks the leverage. I like All right, so getting into Tapu as a player. So let's go into his measurables. 6'7", 295, right tackle, a 3-star, according to 24/7, high-rated 3-star. One of those guys that has really good balance for his height and good pad level for his height. Sometimes it's taller with offensive linemen. You start to hinge in your back, and you'll start to lose leverage. That way you're, head over toes. But his balance is excellent. His feet are excellent. And he plays with a really good pad level, especially for a guy who's 6'7". So Yeah, let's just go ahead and get into a little bit of film. And I got about 10 plays here that I'm going to show you that I'm going to spotlight that really, really showcase his abilities and what I'm excited about for him coming on board. All right, so let's jump right into his film. So, like I said, I'm going to show you 10 plays here to showcase some of his strengths. And the first play here, I just kind of wanted to show you what I was talking about earlier with the good initial punch. He also does a great job of attacking the angle and the hips of this defender. And I really like his hand placement. I heard this from, I believe it was Joe Thomas, who said he prefers his hand position to be on the outside bicep and then across to the inside pec area and inside outside, depending on which angle you're blocking from, of course. Um, but that way, if you block in the bicep, the hand will slide up in the shoulder pads and it's harder to get away from the shoulder pads. You have control with that other hand across. Everything's tighter, so it's harder to kind of do a rip through move or disengage that arm. So you'll see a lot of what he does here, especially just sealing out the blocks, running him down the line, and using his hips and running him off the play. So let this run a little bit here. So you see him come into the side, hip the defender, and drive him down with that final punch there. Just runs him down the line, attacks the hip, attacks his leverage. He's already off balance, so he's able to finish that block as the guy turns around and try to get back into the play. So there's that initial first punch and then that finishing blow. It's just a lot of strength, and he knows how to use his strength and leverage very well. That'll be more evident here as we move along in the film. Play two here. Now, this is going to show a little bit of his quickness and his speed. So the play concept they're going to do here is the tackle, guard, and center are collapsing inward, and you're going to have these two blockers, the tackle and the guard on this side, pull around. So he's going to come into the second level and seal this outside defender off. Watch how quickly he's into the second level and on that defender. Now, that defender has barely moved towards the direction of the play, but he's still able to come across. Again, the defender's on his heels right here. He doesn't wait for him to come into him. He just drives. Again, good pad level, just kind of gets his hands in the chest, attacks that hip. You see which way the defender's facing. So he had no ability for leverage. Good base for Brian on this play, and that gives him all he needs to be able to throw that guy off balance and make sure he seals him out of the play. This next play, play three here, this is going to showcase his ability to get to the second level and be able to kind of drive guys at the second and third level away from the run. So, and just how quickly he's able to get up to speed, get to the second level, maintain his balance and quickness, and be able to still, be able to attack these guys and leverage these quicker guys, able to just stay in front of him and be able to turn his hips out and use his strengths to negate their quickness. So let's go ahead and let it run. So you'll see right out of the gates here, he kind of does this little hesitation almost, and then he gets the second level. I don't know if that's to give the guard or to give them a little time to pull out here or what that is, but he's going to come into the second level, full head of steam. You see him getting up to speed right there, attacks that guy, gets him out of the ball. Now let's go ahead and break this down a little bit. So a couple things here. You typically wouldn't want to lunge at somebody like this or cross your feet up. However, in this situation, to be able to attack the defender and get to him before he can make a little move away from him, what he's able to do is he's able to extend. He's still got a bend in his arm, and his head's not too far of his knees though. So still on balance. Now he has the defender's shoulder, and so he's driving his leverage away from the play again, swings his hips around, is able to drive his hips to where they're facing back towards the run. So to get off of this block, essentially, he's going to have to spin around and run right back into Brian and just nowhere to go. He seals him off right there, is able to drive him away from the run. The tackle's made by a player behind the play. I'll let that run again. Comes in here, great punch there, drives him away from the ball. Just an overall good play. Again, not everything in terms of seeing feet cross up and everything like that on film is bad. In situations, there are times where you might need to lunge to be able to just seal that block and get that guy off the edge, especially when they're quicker guys in the third level like that. So, all right, let's go ahead and get into this play. One of my favorites probably here. So run blocking and his explosion off the line. Now, one of the things with run blocking, you want to make sure that you come off the ball with good pad level, and you want to drive up into the defender. Kind of like they train on the drills where you drive that pad up, right? So what they want to do is come off at a lower angle and kind of work their way up as they get into the defender, keep everything tight and just drive them back. And so when they do that, and when you get on the defender before you let him get on you, that is what gets him on his heels, gets him off balance. So you really on pass protection, you can sometimes get a little bit more extended, but in run blocking, you want to keep everything really tight to refrain from those swim moves, etc. So I'll let this run here. Bullies him, seals the edge, and the touchdown comes in. So just a little off the edge here, zone read kind of look, drives the defender out, and takes him out of the play within the first 2 seconds of the play. I love that play right there. That is a beautiful offensive line play right there. So let's go ahead and move into number 5, and we'll get into a little bit of his pass blocking here. So what you're going to notice here is he does a good job moving his feet. And he moves his feet before his hips, and that is able to give him a base and keep him on balance. So you'll see here on his drop step, there's a step, hips come, and then he kind of holds his ground there, doesn't necessarily let the rusher get into him. He just kind of holds his ground, takes one step back, holds his ground, and kind of intercepts the guy on the edge right there. So that way he can't attack him and get him on his heels. And then again, good hand positioning there. That's what I'm talking about, where that vice grip is on that shoulder pad. So if you watch here, you see that outside shoulder and how he's grabbing onto that. This guy's desperately trying to get away and he can't. That's where holding on to that shoulder pad really, really helps. And it also keeps their arm in tight so they can't flail and, try to draw a hold. When you get them in the chest, they typically can do that. But with tackles, the reason why that hand positioning is important, and again, I think I heard this from Joe Thomas, is because if you get in their chest, how often are you going to be squared up as an offensive tackle with a defender? More often than not, you're attacking them from an angle. So that's why he prefers that hand positioning, and I think it's good when coaches do teach that. So with play 6 here, again, I love this block as well. Where this is another one where he's kind of driving him off his spot, driving down the line. But I want you to see the quick release off the ball. See how fast he gets off the ball and into this defender before the defender knows what's going on. Great pad level. Boom. Great pad level. Attacks the outside shoulder. Look at the base. Look at the drive. This guy has his hips facing this direction. So he can push all he wants against here. The only way he's getting out of this is probably with a spin move, something like that. But, good feet there, kind of keeping in front of him. And then he spins away at the last second, but isn't the one that makes the tackle. So again, just another one of those instances where he gets off the ball, gets his hips around quickly, and drives that defender and make sure that he doesn't drive him backwards at all into that run, is able to kind of seal that. But the play does get broken up for other reasons. On this right side edge right here, you'll see him come off of this edge, and his eyes, I don't know if this is intentional. Again, some of this stuff shows up on film, but his eyes kind of go inside, almost like he's faint, like he's going to crash down and block inside. And then he meets that second level defender, that linebacker that's going to be blitzing at the second level. And really the defender has no leverage, no anything, because I don't know if it surprised him to cut him off guard, but you'll see right there's almost like this little hesitation, and then picks up the linebacker right there at the last second. Now the linebacker, again, I don't know if he was expecting him there, but he's able to, and you'll see him come off the block here, but attacks the leverage, drives him upwards, even though he's the much taller guy. So which still gets him on his heels. Now the defender has to play from his heels here. And so he has the positioning there. Now he lost the positioning there, but he's so far off of his leverage and far off of his spot and balance that he has no chance to make this tackle, and gets blown right through right there. So again, he holds the block for as long as he needs to and attacks the defender in the way he needs to make sure that guy is able to sneak through there and that defender isn't able to make a play. So play 8 here is going to be kind of a play action run. And I want you to watch him off that top edge up there in this pass protection. Okay. Gives his quarterback time. All right. And is able to get the ball away. So let's just go ahead and dive into this a little bit. Again, it's a play action, so he's not going to do as much of a drop step or slide step as he initially would out of his break. But the great thing he does here is he mirrors the defender perfectly, mirrors him, keeps his hands in a good position, stays in front of him, never loses his leverage, never loses his balance, and he's in control of this block the entire way through. So, all right, right here, good pad level. He's got a good base behind him. The other guy has a solid base too, but you'll see good hands right there. Really good hands. And the thing is, when you have your hands in a good position, it's so much harder for them to break away with those swim and rip through moves. So you see him fighting for his life out here trying to break free of that. But Tapu with the strong hands and does a good job of not overextending his arms, keeps a good bend in them, and is able to just keep this guy, locked out of that play for a few seconds. So that is a great block right there and showcases his abilities in pass protection. So gets into that defender's chest quickly before he can get too much momentum coming back his way, because that guy looks like a big guy as well. But yeah, allows him to not be able to move and push him off his spot. So let's move into the next play here. I got two more for y'all. So this is going to be play number 9. Okay. So moving on to play 9, you'll see here that he has a speed rush coming his direction. Okay. So his first step is angling his hips outward. So I'll watch that first step here. First step, boom. Okay. Hips are already shifted, right? He has his eyes on that defender that's coming with the speed rush. Doesn't let him get too deep onto him before he takes that step towards him. So he kind of he catches him. And what that does is, if you can go out and catch him, sometimes you take your slide step, sometimes you go catch him, you disrupt the rhythm of the defender. So he's trying to speed past him. He steps out and intercepts him there. So that way he can take him on with a good base, good balance, and his arms in a good position. And he's able to just use this guy's momentum against him from his, running, trying to run past him. His hands are in a good position. So that way he just kind of drives the guy a little bit, just gives him a little push, and he's already behind the play. So this is all about his ability to identify the rush and be able to get out and get balanced to get in front of it and be able to just use the guy's momentum against him. So see right there, just kind of puts his arms on him, knows that he has given his quarterback enough time, and just great play there overall. All right. So looking at play 10 here, and this is a little bit showcasing his recovery ability, because you're not always going to win the battle of leverage, right? And watching this off the break, so the defender is going to attack, kind of catches him a little squared up with his body, defender kind of driving, right? But watch his ability to adjust. Look how quickly he drops his hips, drops his feet into this advantageous position, and drives him, just stops him in his tracks. Boom. Right in front of him, stays in front of him, drives him. So we'll watch that again so you can get an idea. So up into his chest, kind of gets him a little bit backwards off balance. He's able to still slide in front of him. Great feet, great lateral movement, has his hands in a good position, and he's able to just seal that guy off and be able to just kind of control him. And that's the only way he can get off there right at the end of the play, is the quarterback's kind of scrambling and he's able to just break away, because he's looking, he kind of just held there and looked where the ball was going, was able to break away. But again, just another great play, able to give his quarterback time to get the ball off, and just showcases his abilities and what Matt Rule and them have to work from, because there's a lot of good here to work from, a lot of things you love to see and you need in an offensive lineman before they can compete at a Power 5 level. So great stuff here. Excited to have Brian on, in this recruiting class. And, I'm an offensive line guy, so any offensive linemen are fine by me. So that'll do it for me here. I appreciate everybody again. Thank you all for tuning in. Drop a like, leave a comment, let me know what you think, and I will see you on the next video. Peace.